Close brace. For JavaScript developers, by JavaScript developers. Now that we have actions and reducers working, wouldn't it be nice if we could see what they were doing using some sort of development tool or tools? Well, I have exciting news for one and all. The React community has provided us with some sort of development tool or tools. Lots of them, in fact. We're going to get 2 up and running today. This should be a quick one, so let's get started. First, we install a few modules we'll need. Head for your command prompt or terminal window, and in your music list directory, type the following: yarn-add --dev, redux-logger, redux-devtools-log-monitor, redux-devtools-doc-monitor. Let that run. And when it's done, switch over to Sublime Text. First, we're going to create a DevTools component. This will be a handy overlay, which can easily be hidden, that will show us step-by-step what's happening to our app state, and allow us to do things like step back through the state, or even cancel a single state change in the middle of things. It's really useful for seeing exactly how your data is being mutated. In /source/components/shared, create a file called devtools.jsx. And add the following code. We're using 2 pre-made components here. Log monitor contains the state monitoring functionality, and doc monitor gives us a handy place to display data, allowing us to move it around our window, hide it, and so forth. Save this file, and we're ready to move on. Open /source/store/index.js. We're going to make a bunch of changes here, including laying the groundwork for hot reloading when we make changes to our reducers. Sweet. There will be more work in a future tutorial to get that going, but we might as well make the change to this particular file while we're editing it. We have quite a few changes to make here, but don't worry, they're not complicated. First, change line 1 by adding apply middleware and compose to the list of imports, like this. Below that, add a new line which will pull in our logger, a handy utility that logs every action to the console and also shows app state before and after the action is applied. I actually find this one more useful in a lot of ways than the DevTools, but there's no reason not to work with both. Here's the code. After that, we need to tie our DevTools component in with our store, so we need to import it. Above line 4, add the following code. Our combine reducers block stays the same because we aren't adding any new reducers right now. It's still just the progress reducer. Soon we're going to have more of these, but that'll be another tutorial. Below that block, on line 11, we need a new block that looks like this. The compose function allows us to chain any middleware we want to use before running our output through the DevTools component. Middleware in React is much like middleware in Express. It's stuff you want to happen in between calling a function and receiving its final response. In this case, we're attaching our logger and our DevTools to everything Redux is doing under the hood. Next up, we need to delete the last 2 lines in the file, these ones. We're going to replace those with a function which we'll export and call elsewhere. Here it is. Obviously, that hot reloading bit has some issues. We're not going to want to hot reload only our progress reducer. We'll be fixing that eventually, but let's keep this short and move forward. We're exporting a function that creates our store now, instead of our store object itself. So we're going to need to call that function somewhere. Save this file, and then open up /source/index.jsx. Let's make some changes. First off, let's adjust this spacing a little. Now find this line, import store from /store, and change it to the following: import configure store from /store. Then, just above that line, add the following. In between your import template container and const render app lines, add this one. And now we just need to add our DevTools to our output. Right under this line, component, add the following: DevTools. But wait. Provider expects only a single child element. That child element can contain as many elements as we want. So all we have to do is wrap component and DevTools with a simple div tag, like this. There we go. We're all set here. Save your file, and then go ahead and hard reset your server, just to be safe. And switch to your browser. Hit refresh. Check that out, a handy overlay. Make sure to open your JavaScript console too. Now if you click your increment or decrement buttons, you can see that actions are being broadcast to the console and stacking up in your overlay. Now the really cool stuff. Click on one of the actions in the overlay, and watch as it's temporarily removed from your app's history. Turn it back on, turn it off. Turn off multiple ones. You can click the sweep button to nuke anything you've turned off forever. Note that certain buttons like commit and revert permanently impact your app state. We're now starting with a state of 2, but if we reset, we drop back down to 0. These don't broadcast actions to your console though. This is because the dev tools are wired right into your store, so you don't have to write any actions to make them work. You can play around with the tools here to get a sense of how they work. Note that Control-H, not Command-H, will hide and show the overlay. You can also check out the DevTools documentation if you want to deep dive into what you can do with these tools. I'll link that in the YouTube description. That's about it for this tutorial. Next up, we're going to do some cleanup, including laying the first groundwork for swapping between development and production environments. See you soon!